Hey guys, Rob here at 3D Printscape. Today I'm going to show you how to slice a 3D object file into one or more files. The process is pretty straightforward with one of the applications I'll show you guys in a minute. I started it with using FreeCAD, but that is actually, there's quite a bit to it. So I think that'll be another video. I'll probably do more videos on FreeCAD in general. But for now, I just wanted to show you guys a quick and easy way to slice a file. You'll want to do this if you're trying to print something that's too large for the bed, or if you're trying to scale something larger than the actual printer can handle. Slicing it is going to be the easiest way to account for it. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Before we do, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks. Alright guys, as I mentioned, I was looking at doing this tutorial using FreeCAD, which I will still do in the future, but I wanted to get something out there just to show you how to quickly slice a 3D object. There are a couple people who have asked me for this, so I wanted to show you the easiest way to do it. FreeCAD will have a lot more options, but there's a lot more complexity to it and it does take more time. So let's go ahead and jump in here. This application is Netfabb. There is a newer version of it which has multiple editions. Those are not free, but this is the old version. As you can see here, it was last updated or released back in 2016. But it does work, at least for this purpose. So let's go ahead and download it really quick. I'll have the URL in the description below. Alright, so based on what you're working with, just download it. So here I'm working with Windows. If you're using Linux, you would use that one. It doesn't look like they have a version for Mac, which again is why I want to make sure to cover everything with FreeCAD as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to this folder. So show in folder. Alright, so here we have the folder, or the file we just downloaded. Let's go ahead and extract it. So right click, extract all, and then just default location is typically fine. Now if we open this up, we'd want to launch the application here itself. And you can see here that this basic edition is free. If you want it to register it, you'll get a key so you don't have to wait this 8 seconds every time. It mentions it here. But if you're looking to use this for more than just slicing, go ahead and take a minute to read through this. The basic software does have some limitations, but again, it is free and it's really simple for some of the common things you might want to do, like slicing a 3D object. Alright, so you have to accept the terms, and then I'm just going to go ahead and click later, and it will bring up the application. Now again, like I mentioned at the start of the video, you might want to slice an object for a couple reasons. Maybe you have multiple files or multiple objects that are in a single file. You want them to be several files, or maybe you have something that you're wanting to scale up larger than the actual build volume that you have, so then you can slice that as well. Here I'm just going to go ahead and use Baby Yoda as an example. Alright, so let's go ahead and import it. So we'll go to Project, Add Part, and then just Baby Yoda. It's loading in the STL file here. Now I don't like how it automatically puts this off the bed, but we can make that change pretty simple. So if we just go right click on it and go to move, we can kind of adjust where it will end up going. We want to make sure the z-axis stays at 0, but let's just say 75 and 75 absolute, and translate. Then it just moved it back. And again, if you want to make sure the z-axis is at 0, so it's flat on the bottom. The controls on this are a lot like Cura for dragging things around and zooming in and out. Alright, so now you want to figure out about where you want to cut. You can kind of go to the z-axis here and drag it up. You can see here where it's kind of showing you where it would be sliced. I think right around 45 was pretty good for this guy. Now keep in mind, you're going to have the same issues with the Yoda that you had with it being a single part, with it needing supports on the fingers here and such. But this will slice it cleanly, and it will also create a solid top and bottom so they can be glued together without any issues. Alright, so let's just say I wanted to cut it here. We just go to execute cut, and then you can make adjustments here if you need to. I never had, but just go ahead and hit cut, and this should take just a second or two here, maybe longer if you have a larger print that you're working with. And I just realized some of this was out of the screen, so let me go ahead and pull it up here on the recording. You didn't really miss much, it was just the bottom part of the screen itself. I have gotten this every time. I haven't had any issues with it though, so I just close it out or clear it and close. Like I said, there's been no issues. Now what you do is go ahead and right click on both of your parts, or if you wanted to slice it again, you can do that as well. I would do that in a separate file, but you could do it here if you wanted to. Alright, then we're going to want to, sorry, let's thin this out. Alright, so I accidentally hit cut twice. Make sure you don't do that. Let me go ahead and just restart the process here, show you how quick it can be. So let's just open the file again, Baby Yoda. Alright, so now we got him here. Let's go ahead and right click, go down to move like we did last time. We did 75, 75, and 0, absolute. And then we go to move it here, and then let's just move this up to about 45, which is what we had just a second ago. And then execute cut, and then cut. Only hit it once, it will take a minute. I do get impatient sometimes, so I accidentally hit it twice, and that's why you saw the multiple cut twos in there. I did think about actually removing that from the video, but I figured it makes sense just to leave it to actually show you guys what it might look like if you did do it. Alright, so here, again, same error as before, but it works just fine. Now if we go ahead and expand this out, we can see we have cut 1 and cut 2 like we would expect. Now if we just go ahead, right click on it and go to export part as STL. So then we got Baby Yoda cut 1, and just default settings here are fine, export, and then Baby Yoda cut 2, and save it again. Alright, so now we have our files. We can go ahead and close out of this. You can save it if you want. I don't think it's worth it. It took all of about 30 seconds to get everything set up here. Let me go ahead and close this out of the way. Let's go ahead and launch Cura. Alright, so before we go ahead and do the import, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It'll really help us out with the YouTube algorithm. Alright, so here I'm going to go ahead and drag all 3 files in here. The original one, which is one part, and then cut 1 and cut 2, just so you can see what they look like. Again, if you were scaling these, you would want to have them as separate parts so that you can actually scale them, unless there's not much value in doing it this way. The only value would be if you were trying to split components out of it. Alright, so now that we got all 3 on here, let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, so this is the file we started with. It's the, oh, sorry, slightly out of the print area. Alright, there we go. Alright, this is the file we started with here, And then here is the base for, or cut 1, and then here is cut 2. Now if we switch to the bottom here, you can see that it's flat here, which is what you'd expect, and then that gives you the base to be able to glue them together. And then if you wanted to scale them, you can do 200% on this guy, and oops, let me go back and set that to 200, and then 200% on this, and let's go ahead and remove him real quick. Damn it. Sorry, I meant to switch over to move. I left it on drag. Let's see if we can get both of them on here to do a quick slice. Might be a little bit too large. I just want to show you that the slice does work. Let me just go down to like 125. We know 125 will fit. But if you were actually doing this, you would probably want to scale it over 200 if you wanted it to be larger. And then if you see there, everything is kind of off-centered. You have part of it below there just from the scaling. If you go to edit and reset all model positions, that'll fix that. Then you just gotta move them over. Alright, I'll just leave I'll just set this to 15% real quick and do a slice. Alright, now that we have the slice there, if we go over to preview, we can actually close this really quick and we can see all of the layers again. And here you can see where it's actually creating that top again so that you can actually glue them together. So that's the process. It's not very difficult. The entire thing, start to finish, once you have done it a couple times, really only takes a couple minutes. The same process in FreeCAD would be significantly longer. You got to create the shape and do all of that, and that can, the amount of time it takes to do that can vary significantly based on the object you're working with, but it could be half hour or longer. So if you're just looking to quickly slice something to either scale it or move parts around or better fit it to your build plate, that's going to be the quickest way. Alright guys, as you can see, that process was actually really easy with the software. It's much easier than trying to use FreeCAD or any other CAD applications, though it's still limited with the basic version, which is the free one. This program does get quite expensive, so I wouldn't recommend it for anybody who's not doing any type of design work for a living or anything like that. But the free version or basic version does provide the basic functionality just to do some quick slices, so it's just a good tool to have in your toolbox. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It'll really help us out. Thanks.